What you are about to watch isn't a debate, it's a political warning shot. And if we don't pay attention to what's happening right beneath the surface, we're going to miss the real story, the one they don't want talked about.
This is a gentleman from Massachusetts, Mr. Moulton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Secretary Hegseth, I'd like to clarify a few important details for the record. When you texted the launch time for F-18s going into combat over enemy territory facing anti-aircraft missiles on an unclassified signal chat, did that launch time come from Central Command, yes or no?
I know what you're referring to, and there were no
It's a very simple question. Did it come from? It's a very simple
or,
question. Did it come from Central Command?
Well, in this committee, no way in which I communicate or what I communicate on a successful strike is something that I would share.
So you can't even identify the combatant command under which this operation occurred?
Well, everybody knows the
Okay, so everyone knows the Central Command. So when Central Command sent you this information, did they send it on a classified system or an unclassified system?
Well, as you know, having served yourself, any way that the Secretary of Defense communicates or provides information in and of itself is classified and not to be discussed.
So what was the classification marking of the launch time when it was sent to you? Because DoD regulations require information on classified systems to be marked.
What was the classification mark time?
Yeah, what was the classification marking? Because
again,
DoD
classifications of any information in an ongoing operation that was successful are not things that would be disclosed in a public forum.
You can very well disclose whether or not it was classified. It's not classified to disclose whether or not it was classified. And in fact, DoD regulations state that any classified information has to be labeled with its classification. Was it classified secret or top secret?
What's not classified is that it was an incredibly successful mission against the Houthis.
Okay, so it was classified. So are you trying to say that the information was unclassified?
I'm not
Okay,
trying to say
that's what
anything.
I thought. You're not saying that. So you took classified information from Central Command that had a classification marking on it, because that's what's required by DoD regulations, and you put it on an unclassified system. So we're going to get a report in a few days from the DoD Inspector General. And if the DoD Inspector General finds what is pretty obvious, both to you smiling there in the witness seat and to all of us up here, that the information was, in fact, classified, do you plan to take any accountability for that?
As I pointed out at the time,
you said that accountability is back. Does that not apply to you?
as I said at the time, Congressman, there were no names, targets, locations, units, routes, sources, methods, no classified information.
Okay, so if it comes back that it is classified, will you take accountability or not? We've already established, you've already admitted that it was classified because everything you get from CENTCOM is classified. You just explained that to me. That's how you justified not answering the question.
Not what I said. I didn't confirm any classification or
Okay, so if it is
what
confirmed,
I know is that
will you take
everything
accountability?
I share, everything I talk about,
Mr.
as
Secretary,
of
does
Defense,
accountability apply to you or not?
is classified whether I talk or not.
Does it apply to you or not?
Does what apply to me or not?
Accountability. You said accountability is back at the Secretary.
And you know what? The Houthis were held accountable for shooting at our
I'm
ships
just asking if it applies to
very
you.
successfully.
I'm not asking about the
previous
Houthis.
administration let our ships get shot at, and nothing was done about it. And thankfully, because of the skill and courage of our troops on the battlefield,
I'm just asking about
we
I reclaim my
put them
time.
in a place
I
where
reclaim
they
my time.
called for a ceasefire.
I reclaim my time. I'm just asking if accountability applies to you. It's a very simple question. We use leadership by example.
Of course. Unlike, I serve at the pleasure of the president like everybody else does.
So it only applies to the president, not to you.
I serve at the pleasure.
You talked about the success of the Houthi operation. About how much money did it cost? How much money did you spend on missiles shooting at the Houthis?
Well, you'd have to compare that with what it cost.
I'm just asking how much did it cost?
Divert our shipping lanes around.
I'm told
the
it's
sea.
several $100 million, maybe close to $1 billion. How many U.S.-flagged commercial ships have transited the Red Sea since your so-called successful operation?
Well, thankfully, unlike the previous administration,
The answer is zero.
military vessels transit.
No, I didn't ask
just
about
this
military
week.
vessels. I
Well, which
asked
would
about
be the
commercial
precursor
vessels.
for
How many
civilian and
commercial vessels?
transit,
It's been several
thankfully.
weeks. How many commercial vessels, U.S. flagged, have
Well,
transited the Red
would
Sea?
you, Mr. Congressman, put civilian ships
The
through
questions
dam
are not to
for
me,
military
Mr. Secretary,
ships?
they're to you.
We have responsibly put military
The answer
ships
is zero.
through first.
I reclaim my time. How many generals and admirals have you fired?
I don't know the exact number, but
You don't know the number. It's 8. Can you explain why any of them were fired? Like, just explain why was
They all serve at the pleasure of the president, and I think
No, I'm just asking you why.
General Kane is a great example
I'm just
of
asking
a
you
leader
why.
that we
I think
need
you
at
probably
this
learned
time.
at Princeton what why means. Why did you fire him?
They serve at the pleasure of the president, and we
Why
want better
did you
representation
fire
in
him?
each and every of those.
You can't
each and
explain
every
why
one
you
of those
fired any of
places.
them?
Gentlemen's time's expired. Chair, and I
What you just watched wasn't just a tense exchange. It was Seth Moulton performing a live diagnostic on the state of U.S. military leadership under this administration. And what he exposed was a pattern that should alarm anyone who cares about national security, constitutional oversight, and basic competence in high-level defense operations. Let's be very clear. When Moulton pressed Secretary Hegseth about sharing launch times for F-18s over an unclassified signal chat, he wasn't nitpicking. He was raising the kind of concern that every soldier, every intelligence officer, every pilot, anyone who has ever served understands immediately. Classification protocols exist for a reason. They're not optional. They're not guidelines. They're the difference between safe operations and avoidable casualties. You could hear Moulton's frustration because Hegseth kept doing what officials do when they know the facts aren't on their side, dodging, reframing, and hiding behind abstract claims of success instead of addressing the issue head-on. And that right there is the bigger story. When accountability becomes selective, it stops being accountability at all. Notice how quickly the conversation pivoted from substance to spin. Moulton asked a simple question: was the information classified? The secretary refused to answer. Then moments later, he implied everything he receives is classified. Then he contradicted himself again. This kind of rhetorical fog is exactly how administrations hide missteps, by pretending the rules are too complicated for the public to understand. But viewers shouldn't miss the larger point Moulton was forcing into the light. If a lower-ranking service member mishandled classified information like this, the consequences would be immediate and severe. Careers end over mistakes like that. Lives are put at risk by mistakes like that. But when it's a cabinet-level official, suddenly the standards get blurry. This goes beyond one scandal. It speaks to the erosion of norms within the chain of command, a shift away from transparency and toward a leadership style where accountability is only demanded of the rank and file, while those at the top float above scrutiny. And that's why Moulton pushed harder. That's why he asked about fired generals. That's why he called out the attempt to measure success not by outcomes but by political narratives. Because at some point, Congress has to remind the executive branch oversight is not optional. The laws around classified information are not optional. The safety of U.S. personnel is not optional. This clip is a reminder that competence in leadership is not about slogans. It's about whether the people in charge can be trusted with the highest risk decisions our government makes. And today's exchange raises real questions about that trust. If you want more breakdowns that go deeper than the headlines, make sure you like this video, subscribe to Left Lens, and turn on notifications so you never miss when we drop a new analysis.